I really, really don't want to spend more than $1,000.
I understand. $1,000 is a lot for you. I'd like to propose something else. I'll do the video for you for free. If we get the results that you want, I'd like a percentage of the results.
That sounds fantastic. What's the percentage that you're thinking?
There's lots of things I can't control. So all I want to do is get paid per new customer that walks in your door. No risk to you. I take all the risk. A couple of key concepts I want to explain in regards to any negotiation, whatever you're selling, a product or service. When you have a buyer and the buyer express interest but doesn't want to pay, so they're like, I have questions about how much money this costs, as in this video. What are we going to do? Well, most people would just say, well, I'm insulted, take it personally, or just say it's a dead thing. And I say, well, maybe it's not a dead thing. And that was the context for that negotiation. Mo says, Chris, we're used to seeing you say no to everybody when the deal isn't right. And granted, this was the kind of client I don't want to work with. I just want to preface that with everybody. This is the kind of client who is very foolish with how they spend their money and their time. They're not risk taker, they're risk averse, and they're actually not really good business people. Context is that you can't say no, you must accept a deal, and it's a deal that I don't like. So in this case, this person was asking a vendor to create a video for them. And when the price tag for $1,000 to produce the video, they kind of balked at this and said, I can't afford that. I want this, it's important to me, but I don't want to pay that. So they want to take no risk. Now we need to set up the stage here that a lot of people in the comments are saying things like, well, you shouldn't be paid anything until it works. And that poses the question, what kind of businesses exist where you can just consume the goods and then decide if you want to pay later on, if you're satisfied? And I was asking you, Drigo, what did you think about that? What would your answer be? Can you think of any business where you can eat the food, use the products, drive the car, and later on decide if you want to pay or not?
I mean, I don't know of any. I think a lot of people might think of a restaurant, but even if you don't like the food, you still end up having to pay. You still got to pay. There's really not a lot of services that you can, take or get something without paying for it.
Yeah. So it feels like you're not paying for it because they serve you first, but the social contract is such that by the time you're done eating, you will pay even if you don't like the meal. Case in point, we went to breakfast the other day and met up with a friend, and I was served something that was way overpriced for what it was. I'm like, this cannot be what I ordered because I wouldn't have paid this and I wouldn't have bought this, but begrudgingly I still pay and tip was included. So guess what? Even if you don't like it, you're paying. The only places where I can think of this is when it is a donation only. Like you go to museums, sometimes donation only, or some kind of shoe shining business could be donation only. And yeah, okay, if you like it, you pay a little bit more. If you don't like it, you don't pay anything at all. And wouldn't the world be wonderful if that was the case? But you let me know in the comments if you know of a business that you frequent a lot where they're still in business and they're thriving, where everyone just gets to pay whatever they want. There's not that many. So that doesn't fit within the logic fit test that we have special rules that don't seem to apply to any other use case. So I want to dispel that first of all, okay? So now I was told by Mo, who is playing the role of the client, it's not staged, it's not scripted, but it is something that he wanted to test me to see how it would respond with a customer that's just a gnarly customer to work with. And he did his very best to be the most obstinate customer. But somewhere I think deep inside is really Mo, even though he's pretending to be a customer, okay? So I can't say no, so I gotta work something out. So here I am as the vendor, I'm like, okay, if you don't wanna pay this, then I have to look for an alternative payment method. So this person is saying, I want to take 0% risk. I want no risk at all because I don't wanna pay anything. I only wanna pay if it works. Fantastic. So this opens the door for negotiations, and this is what we're going to do. So we're saying, you don't take any risk, but you're looking for a result. And what is the result that you want? Well, you want to be able to drive new customers. You want a business result. I like those kinds of challenges because they're measurable versus I want to feel like it's a good video. That I wouldn't do that deal. So business results. So what we do is we establish with the customer, what is your baseline? Because we need to measure the baseline, and we've talked about this before. These are what we refer to as the 2Bs. Something I came up with. Not the two BSs, but the 2Bs, okay? The baseline and the benchmark. This is an important conversation to have with any client. We have to know where you are and where you'd like to be. Where you are is the current state, okay? So I'll refer to it as the CS. This is the current state. And then we want to go to the desired future state. Desired future state. And we all live in this place where we're trying to grow. We're trying to improve our health, our relationships. We're trying to improve our status, our wealth, our identity. We're trying to always grow from where we are. That's the struggle of life, and that's real, okay? And so we say, okay, you want a business result. So what's the baseline? So we establish something. We say something like, how many customers are you getting per month on average? So we would say last year, 2023, let's say, for example, look at all your customers, divide that by 12 and come up with a number. So we can just make up something right now. Let's say it's 30 customers a month. And we say, how long have you been stuck at 30 customers a month? And they would say something like, for many, many years. So we established the need to grow, otherwise we're stagnating. We're stuck in our current state. Makes sense. What's the benchmark? Well, anything above 30 would be good. So we have to ask, what is one new customer worth to you? Each person's gonna have a different answer. So in this case, what do you think one new customer is worth to this person?
In their business, maybe like $100, $150.
Okay, 150 bucks. Let's use nice round numbers so our math is a little bit easier. Let's see either 100 or 200. What do you like?
Let's go with the 100.
$100. Okay, so one new customer is worth $100. Now I have to introduce a new concept for all of you to kind of ponder. And it's something that's very fundamental to all businesses, and a concept once you learn, you look at businesses differently. Are you familiar with the concept of lifetime customer value?
I've heard of it.
Okay, so let's break that down then, okay? So we're gonna say lifetime customer value. So how do you determine the lifetime customer value? So when a customer goes into a brick and mortar place, the first time they go in, they spend some money. If they like what they get, a coffee, a donut, maybe a tune-up for their car or something, whatever it is that they're doing, then they're going to say like, I'd like to come back. And I might even tell friends, but we're not going to worry about the referrals. We're just going to say like, how much money do they spend as a lifetime? And the way you would calculate that is you would take your gross revenue, okay? It's a simple way to do it, simple, which is you take your gross revenue, which is all the money you made in a year, let's say in 2023 for the example here, and we divide it by the total number of customers, not hashtag, from that year, and we should come up with an average what they spend. So Drigo, let's get into your business now. Let me change colors one more time here. Because you know why? Because we have colors. Let me go with green. So we'll take Drigo's business, for example, okay? Let's figure out the lifetime customer value for your business. So I'll write Drigo here. Okay. Let's take 2023. What did you gross in 2023?
We did about 250,000.
Okay, it's a good number. 250K. Okay. And about how many customers did you get?
36 clients.
36 clients?
Yep.
Okay. And you could even be a little bit more, we can make this a little bit more complicated. We can throw out the bottom 2 clients and the top 2 clients because they tend to skew the numbers. So if a client gave you $25 and you accepted it, this would really skew your number down. So we call that Olympic scoring. So out of 10 clients, you take away the top 2 highest scores and you take away the bottom 2 lowest scores. But for this sake, let's just stick to this. So you had 36 customers that you serviced in 2023. So now we're going to divide $250,000 divided by 36 and we'd get what? How much did each customer, were they worth to you?
6,944.
Okay. And everybody in the internet gets mad at me when the math isn't right because you're sitting there doing the calculations. You're not standing in front of a whiteboard that's blank. So roughly 7K. It's very close to 7K. So we can just look at it like that. So every customer is worth 7,000 to you, more or less. Now, what would you say your profit margin on this is? Your net. So in the net, there's 2 numbers you need to know. You need to know gross profit and you need to know net profit. And the number that's most important is net profit. Net profit means after all of the vendors have been paid, after you paid yourself a fair salary for someone who is doing your work, meaning if you had to replace yourself, what would you have to pay them? You take away all your overhead, you subtract all that, any subscriptions, licenses, insurance that you have, anything that it costs you to run your business and it's not even attributable to a client, you would have some number. So what money was left over? So of the 250K, what was net for you?
I'd say, to keep it round, we'll say 50,000.
Okay, so that's your profit. And that's good because you need to have profit. And a lot of people don't understand that. They think by working, all of this is profit. So I thought this at one point too, 250,000 is how much I profited. It's not. Even if you're a solo operation, it's not what you profit. Okay, this is a good number. So 50K is what percentage of 250, so we know what your net profit margin is.
20%?
Yeah, so 50, 250, that's like 1/5, that's 20%. That makes sense. So it's 20% profit margin. And we need to know this because if you spend more than 80% to produce any gig, you're going to start to dip into your profit margin and eventually run out of business. So here we go. So 20%. So this is your lifetime customer value. It's here, lifetime customer value, with a net margin of 20%. So of the $7,000 per customer, you're making 20% of that, which I believe is about $1,400 for every customer. Okay, so if every customer you can net profit $1,400, we have to figure out something now, which is something that's a brand new concept, which is the cost per acquisition. How much can you afford to spend to acquire a new customer? Have you heard of cost per acquisition before?
Yes.
Okay, that is, I believe, cost per acquiring a new customer. I want to say CPA, but I think it's CPC. Internet, correct me if I'm wrong. That's the cost per acquisition. So currently in your business, how much do you spend to acquire a new customer?
Nothing.
You spend nothing. Okay, that's a pretty fair answer because a lot of people spend nothing too. Okay, in most businesses, they look at a lifetime customer value of 7,000, and as long as they're not negative on this number, they will spend that number all day long. That makes a lot of sense, right? So for example, if you sell a widget, let me change colors again. If you sell a widget, let's say like, what can we buy on the internet? Headphones. Okay, we'll buy headphones on the internet. You manufacture headphones. Okay, those are your headphones, all right? And let's say you sell them for $100. Your margin should be about 50%, meaning you have $50 to produce it, and whatever you sell at $100, the rest is profit, so it'll be about $50 in profit. So $50 to produce it, $50 in net profit. So now if somebody told you, would you be willing to spend $45 to acquire a new customer, what would you say?
Yes.
Why would you say that?
Because it's less than what like my profit, I can make the money back.
Well, what money would you make back? The customer pays $100 and you spent $45 to acquire that customer through marketing campaigns, sales, and all that kind of stuff. That leaves you with $55 left, right? That's why you said that number. But you also spent $50 to produce it, okay? And that would leave you with how much?
$5.
$5. So I'm gonna ask you again, would you pay $45 to acquire a new customer?
I want to say yes.
But just be honest, just say whatever you think.
It seems like
the
it's a
answer
lot
is.
of effort to make $5.
What's the effort?
Having to produce, manufacture, market the product to make $5.
Okay, let's break that down because this is where I think some of the entrepreneurial conversation is breaking down within our audience or community. They don't understand, I think, pretty basic business fundamentals, and we'll do that today. Once you understand this, you'll be able to make a lot more money. You'll be able to have an informed conversation with your clients about real business. Okay, you have an assembly line. Theoretically, you can't make an infinite number of these, but you can scale this up pretty fast, right? All you have to do is say, manufacture more. So if you spend $45, but you take back $50, and you pay some company to market it, you have basically an ATM machine that just spits out $5. And all you have to do is say, spend more money in advertising. So in this case, let's look at this. Does this scale? If we could spend $1 million, $1 million, right? With this basic model, right? So for every $45 you spend, you make $5. So let's divide $1 million divided by 45, and then you'll start to see like how much money you're gonna make, okay? So what we can do is we can figure out for every $45 you spend, you'll make $5. I think you would just say, dump as much money into this as you have possible, and you just keep pulling $5 back out. You do this all day long. In fact, people on Wall Street do something called microtransactions. Do you know what these microtransactions are? Okay, this is kind of a weird thing about how Wall Street works, okay? I want to buy a stock, okay? And I'm going to say I'm going to pay $1 for that stock, okay? And what the computers do is they buy that stock for 99 cents and they sell it to you for $1. They make 1 cent. They actually don't even make 1 cent. They make a percentage of 1 cent. And they're doing this at such great volume that they're all billionaires. So you can see It doesn't really matter the number. If this scales, even at $5, you would spend that. And the reason why I bring this up, right, because we're going to talk about this, is we have to start thinking like real business people. We don't have to get emotional about how much effort it is. You're mapping this to production and creative services. You're like, well, I don't want to run my creative services to make $5. That doesn't make sense. And I agree with you. But what we do is we were to scale this up. If we made this $50,000, but you had to spend $150,000, you would probably say yes now. Right. So it's just a matter of economics. But the basic principle is, as long as you can spend less to acquire a new customer than what your net margins are, you should be happy to do that deal all day long. In fact, millions of businesses across America and the world do this all the time. That's why there's a term for it. It's called the CPC. So currently, you're not spending any money at all to acquire a new customer. So if I told you, okay, I'm going to be an agent or a rep for you. I'm going to go and sell your work because I know a lot of customers. Would you be happy to have me do that for you?
Yeah, I would.
I'm pretty sure almost everybody in the audience would say, yes, I want that deal. Help me out, Chris, because what do we all want? We want qualified leads. So if I set up a deal where I only take a percentage of the work that you book, we now have to just figure out what percentage you're willing to pay me, right? Let's do this a little bit differently. Some of your customers, and this is a problem, where if the lifetime customer value for you is $7,000, I know you have other types of customers that pay you a lot more. Let's examine that, okay? So if you think about your ideal client or customer, who would that be? Don't say any names, but just say like what type, and then we'll talk about how much you're getting paid or a category, okay? Let's keep this fairly abstract so we don't harm the innocent here.
Entrepreneurs, thought leaders, public speakers, people that want to, get their name out there.
Okay, so people who want to build authority and create content, they're naturally going to want to spend money. We've heard Hormozi spending in excess of $40,000, $50,000 per month alone, and then Layla spends the exact same amount. So they're spending, say, 50 grand a month a piece. They have no problem giving people like you money. Okay, so we know that in those spaces, a typical deal for like doing some content is about $3,000 a month. Does that track with you, more or less?
A little bit of a lower end, yeah.
Okay. What do you want to say?
I say 3K is like on the bottom end of
things.
things.
So we'll just leave that. It's just a number to talk about, okay? But you'll see how this changes all of your business thinking, okay? So let's say the people who want to make content will pay you 3K a month. Now we know in our audience, if you're in a developing country, 3K a month is like what you can survive on for half a year. So to get that a month would be mind-blowing for people. So this is why I keep telling everybody, everyone can make $100,000 a year, no matter where you live, if you learn this skill and understand this business model. This is not me juicing the video. This is not clickbait. This is real stuff. I've seen it. I'm involved in these things, and I talk to people. There's plenty of people I know who are working at this and much, much higher. We know that, okay? So we say a customer comes to you and hires you to do this work. It's 3K a month. So that means if we multiply that by 12, that customer is now, what's the lifetime customer value of this person for the first year?
First year, it would be $36,000.
$36,000, you got it. So if we look at this number compared to this number, now we know there's a problem. Some of your clients are worth $36,000. Some of them are worth $7,000. And sadly to say, some of them are worth much less than this because this cannot be the bottom because then your average would be much higher than that. So we have to make some business decisions moving forward if we want to continue servicing these types of clients. Critical concept, because I'm already doing the math in my mind that you're servicing way more clients at this number and lower, and it's messing your business up, okay? Because my goal for you is for you to get to $1 million sooner than later per year. And right now, you're at 250K. You would have to do 4 times as much business. I don't believe in the current state that you can handle 4 times as many customers. You're going to lose your hair. Right. We don't want you to lose your hair. Okay? So I'm just telling you that you want more of these types of clients and less of these types of clients, which I think you understand. Right. Okay? And everybody's like, wait, are you guys confused? Leave it in the comments. I'll try and sort this out. I think Driegel just tried to mess us up here on purpose. I don't know why. Okay. So now if I say, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to be your sales rep, which we've worked with in the past for over 15, 20 years, we were happy to pay a sales rep to go out, take our portfolio, meet with clients, and convince the clients to give us a shot at the job. It wasn't a guarantee we'd have to still pitch and win, but at least it was worth something. What percentage of this amount, this $36,000, would you be willing to pay a sales rep for every new client they brought in? Remember, this represents one new client just for the first year. Okay, because some clients, if you do a good job, will last you multiple years, or at least way more than 12 months. That's just one new client, okay? Everybody just keep this in mind, all right? How would your life change, each and every single person right now in the audience, if you had a client who came to you every single month and just paid you $3,000? This is why Ronald J. Baker talks about getting subscription models as the ultimate way that we should all price professional creative services. Because you don't have to worry about acquiring new customers. All you have to do is worry about giving and creating value to your customer. That's it. That's what your sole obsession should be. Okay, what percentage of this $36,000 would you be willing to spend for every new customer that somebody like me could bring to you?
I'd say 10%.
10%? Okay, so 10%, that would be $3,600. Right?
Yeah.
So you're going to pay 10%. This would be your cost per acquisition for a new customer. Would you be happy to do that?
Yeah, if I knew I was gonna get a client that's gonna be there for a year.
Whose fault is that?
I guess that's my fault.
Well, that's your responsibility. That's not the responsibility of the agent. So if I told you tomorrow, I'm going to give some of my friends 100 clients that will spend this amount of money, would you like to be the first and last name on that list?
I love that.
And you would be willing to pay 10%?
Yes.
You should say emphatically yes, because I know people in our audience would be dying to do this. Many of them are probably going to be typing in the comments, I would give 30%, I'd give 40%, because I can run these projects all day long and it would change my life. This is what broke ass designers don't understand. You got to spend money to make money. Money makes money, okay? And scared money, as Sean Cannell will say, scared money don't make money. And in the case with Mo was scared to spend money. He wasn't willing to spend money in any direction at all. He didn't want to pay up front. He didn't want to pay a percentage. We'll get into all that stuff later, okay? This is a big concept for you all to understand. Now, in my days working with a commercial sales rep, and we had them covering us in the West Coast, Midwest, and East Coast. We had one in Europe and one in Asia. So we had 5 different sales reps going out there to find us work. And they worked until we got a job, okay? So if the sales rep, what should we draw to represent a sales rep here? What do sales reps look like? Let's give them sunglasses, okay? Let's just say that they're too cool for school, okay? There's a sales rep, Joe Cool, okay? Joe, the sales rep, does not eat. We'll give Joe a cap because, to make him look a little different. Joe does not eat until you eat, right? Right. Okay. So Joe also eats the smallest part of the pie. So I'm going to get messed up here because people always say that's 25%. Joe gets 10%. So that is 25%. That's 12.5%. Joe gets something like this. This is the part that Joe gets, if I'm doing my math right. About 10% of the pie. Rodrigo gets all of this. So Rodrigo takes the lion's share of the revenue. Joe takes 10% of the revenue. So Joe gets 1/10. Who's taking the risk when this situation is set up right now?
Joe is.
Why is Joe taking the risk?
Because he has to go out there, present himself. He has to go talk to people. He's spending a lot of time to try to get me a possible gig, and then I still have to close it.
Joe assumes most, not all, of the risk. Look at what Joe has to do. I'll be Joe right now. I have to make phone calls. I have to go on a meet, wine, and dine. I have to present and present and present. Somebody wants me to go there, I got to go there. And I have to just keep doing this until I get you something that you can win. Let's say I find 5 clients for you, and then you talk to all of them, and you can't book a single one. I've wasted 5 opportunities. That's super risky for me. Does that sound right? Right. Let's say I have great clients that love me and that respect me and trust my recommendations. And then I send a client over to you. You pay me the $3,600, and you F up the job. You're not professional. You don't communicate. You do subpar work. And then that client then comes back and says, hey, yo, man, your people are not good. What does that do to my reputation? It damages my reputation. So when people are watching that video, they're saying, well, the salesperson or the guy who makes the video takes no risk. They don't understand this at all. to work for free in hopes that you will get a new client, that is risk. Because right now, you can run your business and spend $0 as you've admitted to acquire new customers. And here I am out there trying to get you work. Again, people need to understand this. So when we were working with sales reps, I think we were doing anywhere between 7 to 12% of gross revenue to pay them, depending on who they were, how hot they were, and how desperate we were to get them. We were happy to pay this, and we built a multi-million-dollar business using this exact model. On an average year, my client service company called Blind would do about $5 million in revenue a year. So 7 to 12% of that off the top would go to all the sales reps. This is how business is done. And in fact, we would be happy to pay more if they just brought us more work. Amazon, one of the richest companies in the world, will pay you, Rodrigo, a relative nobody, 4% of all the new business. And why would a super successful company do that? This is how they grow their business. And in fact, the more you sell, the higher your percentage goes. Did you know that? Yeah, so it will go up, I think, to 7%, and I don't even know, because maybe there's echelons I don't even know about. So people who are selling millions of dollars for Amazon, they make a higher percentage because they want to reward them to sell even more. It's pretty wild, right? This is part of their business model. So they're happy to spend the CPC of 4% of all purchases that you refer people to. Their margins are such that they can still make money. This is how a real business is run. So the elephant in the room is, Rodrigo, why do you spend $0 on acquiring customers? Somehow you get customers today, and so we have to start to unpack that, okay? So why don't we dive into that? And I think that will be, valuable for the people who are watching. Because they're like, okay, great, Chris, we don't have a sales rep and no one wants to represent us. So let's take that deal off the table. I wanted to set up context so people understood, because they're like, how is the videographer in this case taking all the risk? I hope you now understand why they're taking the risk, because they're willing to do work for free for as long as it's needed until they get results. Let's go back to that model, okay? Now, we know this, okay? So I think in the example here, Mo, I'll write Mo here, Mo the customer. So he runs a brick and mortar shop, right? And he has a baseline of 30 new customers coming, or 30 customers coming in all the time. And he's like, I'm stuck, I need help. So he wants to have a video made, which is right here.
Banger video.
A banger video, as the kids say, and that's going to then drive traffic. And we don't care what the video looks like. What we care is, did one new person come in? Now here's the weird thing. Let's just say the baseline is 30, but some months they get 27. Through no fault of the video, we're now already -3. So the video sends in 3 new customers. He's still at the baseline of 30 a month. So who gets paid? Mo does not, or the videographer doesn't get paid. Do you see how complicated this is? Conversely, if 33 of his existing customers come in and the video sends no new customers, guess who's going to get paid? The videographer is going to get paid, because we set up a baseline of 30, and anything above 30, he gets a percentage of. Now, in the video, as an opening salvo, because I didn't want to work with this client at all, I said, for every new customer, I want you to pay me 50%. Okay? So in this model, we're not referring to that video now. For every new customer above 30, one new customer, number 31, you would pay me what?
$50.
$50. Every one above 30, you would pay me $50. So in order for me just to get the money I was supposed to be paid, how many customers would I need?
20.
20. Okay, right. It's because 20 times 5 is 10. That would get you $1,000, right? So that means it could take months of work. Now, we also know something. When you create a video, it's not just creating the video. There's other things involved. First of all, you have to figure out what channels to post it on. You have to come up with a good title that's SEO friendly, and this word's going to come up even more. And you have to design a good thumbnail, right? Something that's hot. You have to have descriptions, and that's not enough. You have to create a campaign to drive people to watch this video. Assuming the video is going to get people to go to the store, we have to use social media to drive. So we have to make more assets to send it to the video to get people to watch. And you know this as well as anybody else. We have to look at the analytics and make sure we're optimizing the video. So if it doesn't take off, we're adjusting title, we're adjusting thumbnail, we're doing everything we can to juice the performance of this thing. Because our livelihood, we have to get to this point in which we'll at least make $1,000. And then some people are saying, well, when you get paid $1,000, the deal's off. Is that a good deal?
Well, I mean, if I was a videographer, no.
Why not?
Well, because I took a lot of risk. I mean, you put some things on there, but like there's a pre-production, there's so much more that goes into it. So I think for someone that didn't want to pay, I'd want more money.
But what's your rationale? There's a real reason. You haven't said it yet.
Because of the effort that goes into it?
No, because the initial quote that you gave was for $1,000. That includes pre-production. That includes all the stuff. So you just got what you were supposed to be paid. But why is that now no longer enough?
Because I have to care about the results as much as a business owner does.
Yes and no. Because who took the risk if they paid you $1,000?
The business owner.
Who's taking the risk now?
I am.
So in business, all profit comes from risk. Peter Drucker, okay? Look that up. In business, all profit comes from risk. So whoever is willing to carry the risk makes more money. Makes sense, right?
Right.
Okay. So when we invest in a volatile stock that has the potential to moon, we're taking a lot of risk. We already know this.
Yeah.
The reason, did you invest in Bitcoin early?
Yes.
Like how early?
Not early.
Not $50 early.
No, not $50.
Okay. The people who invested in Bitcoin at $50, how much risk did they take?
Not a lot.
No, a ton.
A ton?
Yeah, because if you invested in any one of these other, I don't want to name them, these other alternative currencies, Dogecoin, they're worth nothing. Let's say you bought a bunch of NFTs. Who took the risk?
People buying them.
People who bought them. See, only after the fact, it doesn't look like a risk because hindsight is 20/20. But people had told me go buy Bitcoin. I'm like, I'm not interested. I don't know anything about cryptocurrency. I don't get involved in this at all. I'm going to go earn my money the hard way. Okay. So if you bought Bitcoin or cryptocurrency, well, it has a chance to make a lot of money, but you can also just set your money on fire. That's the risk you take. Now, if you invest in a mutual fund that gets you a couple of percentage points in return, your money is relatively safe. Who's taking the risk? No one's taking the risk, so no one's making the big reward because they're making a lot of bets. The way that mutual funds work is they invest in a portfolio of companies. They hedge with some companies that do well and some companies that won't. So hopefully they're covered. So it just trucks along, okay? And if you want to take very little risk, you would say invest in S&P 500. So you're buying an index fund of 500 companies that over the history of the stock market continue to move up, never like terribly down, okay? So now you understand, if you take on the risk, you need to make more money than that. So the last part of this that we had to figure out is what percentage is fair to pay, the percentage, and for how long? This is an hourglass, okay? How long is the question mark? So I said in perpetuity, forever, which is a negotiation point just like the 50%. So the business owner, if he was a good business owner, it's like, you know what, 50% is a little bit high. Why don't we bring that down a little bit? Then we'd have to look at that. And in perpetuity seems really long. What's fair? We would just negotiate that. So I would say then, okay, we can reduce the percentage, okay? We can reduce the percentage. And what I would say is once I get 5K, we can reduce the percentage further. Or why don't we first say the first 5K is 50%, the next 5K is 40%, it just dwindles down until I get what I want. So it could be one of these collapsing commissions. That would be okay too. Everybody makes money.
Okay, so like play devil's advocate here. Like I think for a lot of us seeing this, to be like, whoa, you gotta make 5K now on the video that you're gonna charge me $1,000. How is that fair?
Why don't you pay the $1,000 in the first place? If you think it's a sure done deal, and the whole point of setting up this deal was to let them know that the $1,000 is really cheap. Just pay the $1,000 already, you cheap bastard. Just pay it. You don't have to deal with any of this stuff.
So is that why you chose those numbers? Like
yes.
50%?
Because I'm going to take the risk. If you don't want to pay, if you don't want to pay up front, you'll pay some way. And guess what? Everybody assumes the positive here, right? What if in 9 months this doesn't go? I've not only wasted my energy and effort that was worth $1,000, but in the months of tracking and trying to figure this thing out, I just can't go anywhere. Maybe you're a horrible business owner. You're like a cranky old person behind the counter. Every new customer walks away upset. They just assume it's going to go well. If you assume this is going to go well, you should just pay the $1,000. It's real easy that way, right? So let's put this in the real world. I commission artists from time to time to make artwork for me. There's usually two models. The flat fee buyout, I'm gonna just pay you a fee, and then I own the artwork. It's a work for hire. You and I are used to this. I mean, I own the work. You don't own it anymore. You transfer all rights to me. And then there's a licensing deal where it's like, for a period of time, you can use it for these markets and these applications. Usually 3 things: how long, which markets, and for what applications, right? And usually that price point is going to be lower. The smaller the market, the shorter the usage, and the fewer the applications, the price will be a lot lower. So if I don't want to take risks, I go for that option. But then I say to myself, but what if this takes off? I'm beholden to continue to pay this person beyond the initial contract point. I can't have my cake and eat it. I can't say, well, let's go for the lower commission or license rate, but if this blows up, I need to buy it outright, and it's gonna be less than what you're gonna pay. Would not make sense. Do you jive with that?
Yep.
Okay, that's why, okay? The reason why people are having this argument in the comments is because they don't understand business fundamentals. I don't care who you say you are, show me your receipts, okay? Show me what you've done, and then tell me you understand this, and this is a stupid idea, okay? The whole point of this is I didn't want to work with this person. I needed to find a different way to explain this to people so they could understand. And this is viable for many people. For every one not informed critique of this, there are a handful of other people, probably a ratio of 5 to 1, who contact me. It's like, I'll do the deal. What are you talking about? I need clients. I know how to make money on this. Maybe they can use software. They can farm it out to a bunch of people, and they know how to make money. This is how this works in real business all throughout the world.
So, like, how do I know that the business owner is going to be upfront with me?
Okay, that's a good question. So there were a lot of questions about that in the comments about, like, how can you trust this person? If, say, you like this person and you trust them, you have a good gut feeling, do the deal. Have a contract signed up. Have a way to audit the books. So there's 2 things that are going to protect you. Let me write this in a much more obvious color so that we can see. You need an attorney to draft up a contract. And B, you need a way to audit the books in case you feel like something's funny, okay? And then lastly, you need a way to resolve this in court if a dispute comes up. Okay, if we both can't agree for whatever reason, and I look at your books and there's something funny, we're both going to agree to arbitration or small claims court or something like this. We don't want to spend our time doing that. Now, if we have a funny feeling, I don't care how good the contract is. It's not going to save you. You're going to sit there and you're going to try and chase after this person. They're not going to pay you for years. Your life is going to get shorter. You're going to lose your hair. You're going to turn gray. Whatever it is, you don't want to do this. Okay? As I'm talking about contracts, I want to make the audience aware of something, that we have something called the legal kit, which is a collection of a master services agreement, independent contractor agreement, work for hire agreement, model release forms, something that I've paid my attorney a ton of money to make and make it appropriate for a creative industry. And it's something that we sell that you guys can get. You can purchase that if you want. That's a good starting point. And some people always ask, like, is it good for this market or like for the UK? Not exactly, but it's a good starting point. And for what you're going to pay for it, it's better to start with something like that and have your attorney modify it for what you need. I always say, because I'm an attorney, consult an attorney, a legal professional before you do any of this stuff. But I got to tell you, for years, we ran a business without legitimate legal contract, and we got away with it most of the time. Every once in a while, it came back to bite us, and I wish we had just spent the money, because it costs way more to resolve than it was just to hire an attorney or to have contracts ready for you. Okay? Now, the buyer of the video, some people are like, well, what if the video sucks? Well, what are we going to do about that? Well, the buyer has an opportunity to review the body of work. So I'm going to draw up here a portfolio case, okay? So this is a portfolio case of video work. And you can look at that work and say, does that feel like it's right? Especially if you produce videos like this before that have results for brand names. If you're the person who made the Dollar Shave Club video or the Purple Mattress or Poopery, you're going to charge way more than $1,000. They have all the proof that they need. Like, we know how to drive sales. In fact, our last client did $184 million in sales based on this video. Take my money already. Okay? So you have to discern, use your vision, and say, is this right? And short of them doing something that is misogynistic, homophobic, transphobic, or something weird, racist, sexist, they should be allowed to do whatever they need to do to make the video, because their butt is on the line. Because if they make a stupid video that drives customers away, they're not just working for free for no good reason at all. Most people don't have that kind of free time. So they're going to try to do their best job given the information that you provide. Let's go to this idea, because I know people are sitting here thinking, okay, what kind of guarantee? They're saying, well, you shouldn't be paid anything until the work gets results, right? Like, well, okay, well, let's talk about that. The analogy I can think about is like, let's say a car, you buy a car. A decent car. Let's say the car costs $50K, okay? And many cars these days will come with a 4 or 5 year warranty. 5-year warranty. And you know what the warranty covers? Manufacturer defects. That's it. If a rock hits your window and it breaks, who paying for that? You paying for that. This has happened to me. I literally bought a brand new Benz, was driving home, hit a ginormous pothole, jacked my wheel, the rim was irreparable, okay? $5,000, I'm out. Literally within 24 hours. Bad road I drove on. Low profile tires. Combination not made in heaven. I had to pay for that. What they're saying is if the transmission blows up, if there is an electrical malfunction or something, the stitching on the seat falls apart. Basically, if it breaks because of anything other than user error, they'll take care of, right? So there's no guarantee. The guarantee is it'll go from point A to point B. That's about as much as the guarantee. So what happens if you hit another car? Or forget about hitting another car. Let's say you run into a lamppost and you just mess up your car. Who's responsible for that?
I am.
You are. So we know this. So what do we do then? We buy
insurance.
We buy insurance, right? So you're gonna buy insurance, and how much money do you spend on insurance a month?
It's like $200.
Okay, $200 a month. You're a good driver. Okay, so you spend $200 a month, and you can also buy something called an extended warranty, which debatable. Some people say absolute, and some people are like never. Do you buy extended warranties?
I have on my car.
You have all the time?
Yes.
It's a good purchase or no?
It was for me.
Okay. We should have bought the warranty for our Tesla, but that's when the battery starts getting crazy, and that gets 25 grand to replace battery. I'm like, shoot!
Might as well get a new car.
Yeah. So the warranties are funny. The day after it expires, you can't buy it anymore. Or they might have a grace period of like a week, but it's really wild to buy the extended warranty. I think it's usually like a 3-year warranty, right?
I actually bought mine to cover my car to 100,000 miles.
Oh, okay. To a distance then.
Yeah.
Okay. So why do we buy these things? Do you plan on hitting anybody?
Nope.
Do you plan on people hitting you?
Nope.
Okay. Do you plan for the engine to explode and fall apart on you?
Definitely not.
So why do you pay for these things?
I guess in case stuff happens.
Okay, in case stuff happens. We call this peace of mind. You're buying peace of mind. We don't want anything to happen. We don't want to ever utilize these two policies. We really don't. They're just in case something happens. And in case something happens is we're worried about financial catastrophe. Meaning you get hurt in your car and you're in the hospital, you cannot work, your arm's messed up, your vision's jacked, you got $100,000, $200,000 worth of hospital bills. You think to yourself, thank God I bought this thing. And there's usually a deductible on this, right? And it's usually kind of high. What is it for you? Do you know?
Mine's like $1,000.
$1,000. So that means that anything less than $1,000 worth of damage, you're still eating. So these policies are written because they know that most people don't use them and they just make money. To cover every once in a while, somebody really needs it and they cover that. So we're sharing the risks across a network of people. As long as the company doesn't spend this money foolishly on risky investments, it's solid. You get in a wreck, they're going to take care of you. That's how this works. They're usually like backed by the government too. There's some extra protection and they're regulated and all that kind of stuff. So when we talk about a guarantee, even these aren't that solid of a guarantee, but that's what you do. You pay extra for a guarantee. So in a case like this, you are just buying a video. To expect a guarantee to come with it, it's like to expect to buy a car that it comes with insurance, an extended warranty, and everything that you can think of. If the car drives, they fulfilled their job. We know what a video is. If it's a certain size, spec, audio quality is good, color grade is fine, you've delivered your job. Everything else on top of that is not a guarantee. If you want a guarantee, what should we charge then?
A lot more money.
We should charge a lot more. So in a case like this, If he's like, I want guaranteed results. Well, what kind of guarantee do you want? Well, if you don't send me a new customer, I want my money back. So you want a money back guarantee based on customers. So depending on how many customers they want, how strong the guarantee has to be, this number will go up, and it can go up exponentially. Now, some people are also saying, Chris, 50% is lunacy. It's outrageous. It kind of is, and I knew that, fully expecting them to negotiate with me. But I'm not going to negotiate myself to like 10% right away. Then he'll say 3%. This is where we're going to get stuck. It's like, I don't want to work for 3%. It's not going to make, I'm going to make what? $3? How many jobs do I have to send you 600 new customers before I actually see any kind of real margins on this? It doesn't make sense for me. But some people are willing to pay 50% that have really high margins. Insurance, real estate, they have high profit margins. They can afford to spend a lot of money to acquire a new customer because their hard costs are very, very low. Telecom companies, credit card companies, they spend a lot to acquire a new customer. You'd be shocked at how much they're willing to spend because A, they know the lifetime customer value is really high, relatively speaking, especially with people who are poor at money management, and they're willing to spend money. That's why they're taking out ads on TV, on YouTube, in print. They have promotional campaigns at the airports with your airline. Everywhere you turn, somebody wants you to sign up for a new credit card because they know this is a money-making business for the most part. What we need to do is we need to expand on why this is and what else you can do. So how do you get customers currently? Because you are getting customers, right?
Right, yeah.
So let's try to do this in a prioritized list and we'll rank them, okay? Can you do that in your mind? Mm-hmm. Okay, let's look at this like number one. What is the number one which way you get new customers?
SEO.
SEO. SEO?
Yeah, we do it ourselves.
Okay, you must be very good.
We're pretty damn good.
How many of the 36 customers that come in a year come from SEO? Approximately.
60% of our clients?
Let's say 25. So 25 customers come from that. And on average, what do they spend with you?
About 5K.
About 5K? Okay. So, all right. We'll get into that later. And they're one and done, or they're ongoing subscription based?
Those are kind of one and done.
Okay. There's two problems with that, but we'll get into it. What's number two?
Number two is going to be through content.
Okay, like social media stuff?
Yeah.
So we'll call it social media marketing. You're posting on IG, TikTok, that kind of stuff. Yes. And that creates how many customers for you?
5 clients for us.
5 clients? Yeah. Okay, so you're getting 5 clients from social media. Typically, what do they spend?
Those are probably around like 3K.
So even less?
Yeah.
Are they recurring or just one-offs too?
Those are more recurring because they see us doing social media content for other clients, and that's...
Okay, what's the lifetime customer value then? We need to look at it. Lifetime customer value.
I would say probably like 12K then.
Okay, that seems a little bit more realistic to me.
Yeah, like 3 months.
Yeah. Okay, we have to fix that problem too. So you're saying 3K times like in 3 months, right? Mm-hmm. All right. Okay, what's the number 3 way?
Word of mouth.
Okay, like referrals?
Yes.
Okay, so WOMA. So an existing customer tells a new customer, hey, you should work with Rodrigo. Or they say, who do you recommend, right?
Yeah.
And so this is where it gets real interesting here. So when you get a customer that's coming word of mouth, are they worth more to you?
Yes.
And so let's put a lifetime customer value on them.
7,000.
7,000?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's still less than this one. Okay. Let's point out some of the problems here. And I'm sure everyone who's following along, who's really paying attention at this point, is already seeing the things that I see. And so we're going to switch to the red marker here. If you run SEO and you're really good at it, you spend time doing it, you're going to get $5,000 from 25 customers. It is already below your lifetime customer average. And we know this to be true because we have to have some clients that you're working with that are less than your average. Here's what I'm saying to you. At a minimum, 7K should be your new minimum level of engagement. No clients can come to you at this point and hire you for less than that because it's the only way you're going to average this thing up. So that has to be your new baseline. So when a client comes calling, it's like, I have 5K, it's like, it's not going to work. To start, it needs to be 7K. But we only work with customers that are going to spend a minimum of 12K with us throughout the year. Not all at once, but that's our new minimum level of engagement. So what we have to do is This has to be the baseline, but this is not good. We need to go up from there, okay? We got to go up. Let's just use big round numbers at this point. I think your new minimum level engagement, Drigo, needs to be 15K. Needs to be 15K. And you need to be clear about that, and you need to be positioned in the market to attract these kinds of customers. Is that clear to you?
Yes.
If you have any chance, let's do the math real quick. Let's say this is your new 15K, multiply that by 36, and what do we get then?
540.
540K. How does that sound like what 2024 would look like for you?
A lot better.
Well, heck, that's double what you're doing right now, right? You were 250. So we can see now by designing our business, being intentional about what we do, we can change our business. So I think that's a fairly good goal for you to try to hit for 2024 so that you can be on your way to $1 million. So if I were to map it out for you right now, 2023, we're talking about 250K. 2024, we should get you to 540. And guess what we're going to do in 2025? And get you to 1 million. That's the plan. So we take small steps towards getting towards our goal, and we have to learn new skills in order for us to get there. And I think almost anybody who's got a good work ethic, who has some sense of intelligence, and is willing to follow the steps that we're outlining, that you all can make $1 million or more. I know because I've done it multiple times. Even within years out of school, I've done it.
So how do I get like from a word of mouth client that's 7K to offering like my services for 15,000?
I'd love to tell you. Would you like to know?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll do that on the next video. We're going to cover what Drigo's business plan needs to be in order to do this. We need to figure out his game plan, because a lot of times we'll talk about this, it'll feel clear to you, and then people go away and they do nothing about it. And they're like, well, I don't know, I was inspired, but now I don't know what to do. So let us know in the comments below, do you want to see that video? Just tell us, make that video already, and you want to see it, just type in want, #want, and we'll make this video. We'll go through Drigo's step-by-step plan so that he can start to prioritize his business, and we'll show you how to do it. Is that a deal, everybody? All right. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to click like and subscribe. See you guys in the next video. If you want to equip yourself with the right community, training, and resources to take your business to the next level, I want to personally invite you to check out the Futur Pro Group and our membership, specifically created for experienced business owners ready to scale.